I never thought I'd be the one to ruin my father's funeral. But when you've spent your entire life being treated like a family's unwanted burden, something inside you eventually snaps. Dad died 3 weeks ago. Heart attack, 61. Everyone said it was sudden. But honestly, the man had been stressed, secretive and paranoid for months. Still, I showed up, wearing the black dress my mom picked for me, standing beside people who barely looked at me. My brother Jason, my golden child. Sister Emily, their perfect families. All whispering about how I deep in the disappointment. I kept quiet through the eulogies, through the fake tears, through the slideshow that showed everyone except me in most photos. Then during my mother's speech, she said something that flipped a switch in my brain. Robert was a devoted husband and father. He always did everything for his children, even when it wasn't easy. That was a lie, and everyone knew it. Because ID found out just 2 days earlier that I wasn't his child at all. While sorting through insurance papers, I discovered a sealed envelope addressed to Sarah for after I'm gone. Inside was a single letter. Dad wrote that I was the product of Mom's affair with his business partner. He said he'd known since before I was born, and that's why he'd kept his distance. I stood there clutching my shaking hands, listening to my mom talk about honor and love and family, and before I could stop myself, I said it loud enough for everyone to hear. Stop lying, Mom. You cheated on him. I'm not even his kid. The room froze. The priest gasped, and my mother's face went pale as marble dot. For a moment, there was absolute silence, the kind that feels like the world stopped breathing. Then chaos. My mother dropped her microphone. Jason's wife gasped. Emily whispered, "Oh my God," like she was watching a car crash in slow motion. And me, I just stood there trembling, heart pounding so hard I could hear it echo inside my skull. Sarah, Mom hissed, her voice sharp enough to slice glass. "This is not the time." "Oh, really?" I said. "When is the right time to find out that my whole life was a lie?" The murmurs began, people shifting in their seats, whispering to each other. My uncle stood up asking if this was some kind of joke. But Mom's face said it all. She wasn't angry because I was lying. She was angry because I was telling the truth. Jason stormed up to me, red-faced and shaking. "You've lost it," he hissed. "Dad just died, and your dad." I laughed bitterly. He wasn't even my dad, apparently. That broke something in him. He shoved me not hard enough to hurt, but enough to make every head in the room turn. The priest tried to calm everyone down, but it was useless. Half the guests started leaving. My mom was crying, not out of guilt, but out of humiliation. I walked out before anyone could stop me. Rain had started falling soft and cold. I stood under the awning shaking, trying to breathe. That's when I heard Emily's voice behind me. "You shouldn't have done that," she said quietly. "You embarrassed her." I turned around. "She lied to me my entire life." "She lied to all of us," Emily said, crossing her arms. "But you didn't have to destroy the funeral." Her words hit me like a punch. And maybe she was right. Maybe I had gone too far. But then I remembered that letter. My father's last words, not love, not forgiveness, just resentment. And suddenly I wasn't sorry. Not even a little dot. I didn't sleep that night. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw my mom's pale face, Jason's disgust, Emily's disappointment, The funeral had turned into a family circus, and I was the headline act. By morning, my phone was flooded. Missed calls from Mom. Angry texts from Jason. A voice message from Emily that started calm and ended with her crying. I ignored them all. I wasn't ready. Instead, I opened Dad's letter again. The paper smelled faintly of his cologne, the same one I used to smell when he'd leave early for work, the one I thought meant safety. Now it just made me sick. The letter was only 2 pages, but it shattered 30 years of my life. He wrote that he found out about Mom's affair when I was a baby, that he considered leaving, but stayed for Jason and Emily, that he couldn't look at me without seeing her. Betrayal. He called me her consequence. Not daughter, not Sarah, just a consequence. There was one more line at the end, written in a different pen, messy almost like he'd added it right before dying. If she ever tells you the truth, you deserve to know the rest. The rest I flipped the page over blank. What did that mean? I tore through his study later that day, looking for anything. Letters. Folders. A will. Something. But the house was empty. Mom had already cleared everything out after the funeral chaos. She didn't want me near anything that could make things worse. Then I got a text from an unknown number. You shouldn't have said anything. But since you did, you deserve to know what really happened. Meet me tomorrow. Noon. No name. Just an address. It was the address of Dad's old office, the one he shared with his business partner, the one Mom had the affair with. My real father died the next day. I drove to the address from the text. It was raining again, the kind of steady drizzle that makes everything look like a scene from a sad movie. The office building was half empty. Its sign fading Henderson and Cole Financial. Group Cole. That was the name in my father's letter. Mom's old business partner. My biological father, apparently. I hesitated in the car for almost 10 minutes before walking in. The receptionist looked confused when I gave her my name, but then she said softly, "He is expecting you," when I entered his office. He was sitting behind a massive oak desk, silver hair, crisp suit. Same tired eyes I saw in the mirror every morning. "Sarah," he said, as if he'd been waiting years to say it out loud. "You look just like your mother." "I'll take that as an insult," I snapped. He smiled sadly. "Fair." For a while, we just sat there. I didn't know what I wanted answers. Maybe closure, or just someone to finally admit that none of this was my fault. He finally spoke. "I didn't send that message. But I'm glad you came." My stomach dropped. "You didn't, he?" He shook his head no, but since you're here, you deserve to know what really happened between your mother and Robert. That's when he told me something that made my blood run cold. According to him, Mom's affair, hadn't he been emotional, it had been blackmail. She found out Robert, my dad, was embezzling from their company. She confronted him, and in return, he used her, he forced her to cover for him, to fake documents when she got pregnant. She didn't even know who the father was until Robert demanded she pretended it was his. He ruined her, Cole said quietly. And she kept quiet to protect you. I didn't believe him. I didn't want to. But something in his eyes looked genuine, regretful, broken. Then he slid a small brown envelope across the desk. "Your father wasn't the man you think he was," he said, "and he didn't die of a heart attack." I stared at the brown envelope like it was radioactive. "Go on," Cole said softly. You deserve the truth. My hands trembled as I pulled out what was inside. A thin stack of documents, a few printed emails, and a death certificate. Only the certificate had 2 different dates. One was crossed out and corrected in pen. "What is this?" I asked. Cole leaned back, his face pale. "Your father was under investigation. Embezzlement fraud. Falsifying retirement accounts. He was supposed to testify against some very powerful clients. The day before he was due in court, he collapsed at his desk. Heart attack, so they said. But the autopsy results were sealed." "Why would they be sealed?" He sighed. "Because your mother requested it." My blood went cold. "You're saying—" "I'm saying he interrupted. Your mother knows more about his death than she ever told anyone." I shoved the papers back into the envelope, my pulse pounding. "You expect me to believe you had an affair with her?" Cole nodded, unflinching. "I did, and I've regretted it for 30 years. But Robert, wasn't he innocent, Sarah? Wasn't he the victim? I left before he could say another word. On the drive home, my mind spun in circles. Was my mother capable of that? Could she have killed him? The woman who used to pack my lunches, who sang off key in the kitchen. When I got home, she was waiting for me. Sitting in the dark, her face illuminated by a single lamp. "Where were you?" she asked, voice tight. "You know exactly where," I said. "You knew I'd find out eventually." Her jaw clenched. "You shouldn't have gone to him." "Then tell me the truth," I snapped. "Did you kill Dad?" She didn't. He flinch. Didn't he deny it? She just whispered he was going to destroy all of us. Then she stood up, walked past me, and said something that chilled me to the bone. "You have no idea what that man was capable of." I couldn't sleep again that night. My mother's words looped in my head like a haunting refrain. "You have no idea what that man was capable of." I wanted to scream. I wanted to believe her, but how do you trust someone who has lied your whole life? By morning, I was back at my parents' house. The place still smelled like him, stale aftershave whiskey and old books. I walked straight to his study. My mother had locked the door, but I knew where Dad kept the spare key, taped behind the bookshelf, under the second shelf from the bottom. Inside, everything was neat, untouched. Too untouched, as if she de-cleaned it before anyone could investigate. But something felt off. The rug near the desk looked slightly uneven. When I pulled it back, I saw a square metal plate set into the floor. A hidden safe. My hands were shaking as I tried the usual combinations. Birthdays, anniversaries. My siblings' noms. Nothing. Then I tried mine. Click. Inside were folders, cash bundles, and a small flash drive. On top of it all, a yellow sticky note in Dad's handwriting. "If you're reading this, I'm already gone. Don't trust anyone, not even her." I plugged the flash drive into his old laptop. It contained hundreds of documents, financial records, contracts, bank transfers under fake names. My father had been running a full-blown embezzlement scheme through his own company. Millions of dollars hidden offshore. But that wasn't the worst part. There were photos. Dozens of them, my mother younger. Standing next to him, and a man I didn't recognize. Government-looking men smiling. Holding envelopes and one folder labeled leverage. Inside were scanned letters, blackmail threats, mostly directed at high-profile clients. But one of them was addressed to Cole Henderson. The message read, "Tell your daughter the truth, or I will." My stomach dropped. My father, hadn't he just hated my mother as a affair? He doised it. That's when I heard a car pull up outside. Mom was back, and she wasn't he alone. I barely had time to close the laptop before I heard footsteps. 2 sets, 1 light, 1 heavy. My heart stopped when I recognized the voices. Mom and Jason. I slipped the flash drive into my pocket just as they walked in. Mom froze when she saw me standing behind Dad's desk. Jason's face twisted with anger. "What the hell are you doing here?" he barked. "Haven't you caused enough damage?" Mom stepped forward, her voice trembling. "Sarah, please tell me you didn't open the safe." I didn't answer, which of course told her everything. She shut her eyes, exhaling slowly. "You shouldn't have done that. What found out Dad was a criminal?" I snapped. Had he blackmailed his own business partner, and you helped him? Jason slammed his hand against the desk. "Stop it. You don't know what you're talking about." "Oh, I think I do," I said, pulling out the printed documents. "You think this is fake? He was stealing millions, and Mom knew." "Put those away," Mom hissed, panic in her eyes. "You don't understand how dangerous this is." Dangerous, that word stuck. What's that supposed to mean? But before she could answer, Jason spoke, and his words cut through the room like a blade. "Dad, didn't he blackmail Cole?" I did. My mind blanked. What, he looked almost proud. "I found out about their affair years ago. When Dad started falling apart, I stepped in. I used the info to keep Cole quiet. And to protect the company." "Protected it?" I laughed bitterly. "You mean protect yourself." Mom turned to him, furious. "You told me you deleted those files." "I did," he said coldly. Or at least I thought I did, until she started digging. It all hit me at once. The missing papers. The sealed autopsy. The letter about not trusting anyone. My father had known about Jason. About everything. "Dad, didn't he die of a heart attack?" I whispered. "He was silenced, and you." Jason's eyes went dark. "You should be." "E stayed quiet, Sarah." That is when I realized he wasn't warning me. He was threatening me. I didn't wait for Jason to say another word. The look in his eyes was enough, cold, calculated, dangerous. I bolted out of the study. Down the hallway, through the back door. Rain poured again, soaking my hair as I stumbled toward my car. My hands shook as I jammed the keys into the ignition. Through the window, I saw Jason step outside with Mom behind him. She wasn't yelling. She wasn't crying. She just looked defeated. Then Jason raised his phone. Probably calling someone, or worse. I hit the gas and drove until my knuckles turned white. An hour later, I pulled into a deserted rest stop. Breathing hard, I plugged the flash drive into my laptop and started scrolling through the files again. Faster this time. There was more photos of Jason. Bank statements under his name. Large cash transfers that started weeks before Dad died. My mind reeled. Jason, hadn't he been protecting the company? He'd even taken over the operation, one step at a time, until Dad was out of the picture. I needed proof. Something solid. There had to be more. That's when I noticed a hidden folder, buried deep inside the drive, private, confidential. Inside was a single video file, dated 3 days before Dad's death. I clicked play. The screen flickered. Grainy footage from an office camera. My father sat at his desk, pale and tired. Then Jason walked in. They argued. I couldn't hear words, but Dad stood up yelling, pointing at a folder. Jason grabbed his arm too hard. Dad shoved him back, clutching his chest. Jason didn't he help. He just stood there watching. Then he picked up Dad's phone, deleted something, and walked away. I stared at the screen numb. My father didn't die from a heart attack. He had one, but Jason let him die. Before I could react, my laptop pinged. A new email. No sender. Stop digging, Sarah. You're next. By sunrise, I was running on caffeine and fear. The video replayed in my head like a nightmare on loop. Jason standing there while Dad gasped for air. The quiet, the calm. The look of satisfaction on his face. Before he left the room, it wasn't he an accident. It wasn't he fate, it was murder. I drove straight to the police station, clutching the flash drive like a lifeline. The officer at the desk looked half asleep when I told him I needed to report a crime. But when I mentioned Jason's name, Jason Matthews, his expression changed. You said Matthews, he asked. As in Matthews Financial Group? Yes, I said. He killed my father. He stared at me for a beat too long before forcing a polite smile. One moment, please. He walked to the back, and something in my gut screamed, leave. I was halfway to the door when two men in suits walked in. Not uniforms. Not detectives. Private. Clean-cut, expensive shoes. Sarah Matthews, one asked. Who is asking? He flashed a badge, not police. Internal affairs. We need to see the evidence. He said no. My heart pounded. No, I'm giving it to a detective. Miss Matthews, the other one, said firmly. Your brother has been cooperating with an ongoing investigation. Anything you say or hand over could compromise that. Lies. I could see it in their eyes. I bolted again out the side door through the rain. I could hear them shouting behind me, but I didn't stop. I jumped into my car and drove. Until my phone lost signal. By noon, I was sitting in a dingy diner 30 miles away, staring at the flash drive like it might explode. I had no one left to trust. Not Mom, not Jason. Not the police. Then my phone buzzed. A new message. Unknown number again, if you want to expose the truth. Meet me tonight. 9 p.m. The old marina. Attached was a single image, a screenshot of the video I thought only I had. Someone else had the files, and they wanted to help me. Or finish what Jason started. Night fell heavy over the marina. Fog curled above the water, like smoke from an unseen fire. I parked near an old abandoned boathouse and waited, clutching the flash drive as if it were a shield. A figure emerged from the shadows, tall, calm, wearing a dark coat. No mask, just piercing eyes. You're Sarah Matthews, the figure asked. Yes, who are you? Call me someone who wants the truth out. You're in danger if you go home. I hesitated, thinking of Mom. Jason, Emily. The house, my life. Then I thought of Dad, the video. The hidden accounts. Everything he'd built, everything Jason had poisoned. I want justice, I said quietly. They nodded. Then you need to be careful. Your brother has influence deep. Your mother has been protecting herself for decades. But the files, they can bring everything crashing down. Financial crimes, murders, Blackmail all traceable to him and the board. I opened the laptop, my fingers shook as I uploaded the evidence to a secure cloud account. Screenshots, videos. Banking records everything. One click and it would reach federal authorities. Journalists, the world. Suddenly my phone buzzed. Unknown number again. If you do this, you can't go back. The LL come for you. I froze. Then I thought of every year of being the unwanted daughter, the secrets, the lies, the funeral, the betrayal. I clicked send. Within minutes, the world exploded. News outlets reported financial scandals at Matthews Financial Group. Jason S. accounts were frozen. Investigations launched. Mom's complicity came to light. Emily and her husband were forced to testify. I didn't cry. Not then. Not when Jason called screaming, begging me to stop. Not when Mom tried to guilt me. I had no mercy left. But as I drove away from the marina into the first light of morning, I realized something else. The real battle wasn't he just exposing the truth. It was deciding who I wanted to be, the child of lies, or the one who finally controlled her own story. One chose myself. Because sometimes being the hero of your own life means burning down the past and leaving everyone else to face the flames. AITA? Maybe, but some truths are worth the chaos.